right, so welcome back to the final round of the ladies step ladder. We have Dianne Violini, who came in first today, and she is bowling against Kelsy Wilton, who just beat Bobby Sisko. Oh, Dianne Violini, where do we even start with her?
Oh, she is an absolute legend in this game. She's been, this is her 50th year in the Open Provincials, and I'm almost lost for words because she has done everything a person could do in this game, and at this level, high level of play, and she keeps going and going. It's amazing. I don't know what to say. Maybe you could add on to that.
I sure can. I have the great privilege of bowling with Dianne on the ladies team and in league for many years now. And, you get to watch her and she's just in the zone. And it's like she can't do anything wrong. And she's human because she has her struggles too, but she just has that attitude where she just keeps plugging away. And that comes from all those years of experience. And she brings this certain level of grace and,
Good word.
to the sport,
Perfect.
Really. She's a classy lady. Like, there's no other way to put it. I've been in awe of Dianne Violini since I was a child. I started bowling when I was 4.
And I think that across the country, people are in awe of Dianne too. She's in the Alberta Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame. This is her 40th year going back to the Master Bowlers Association Nationals.
Yeah, that was a bit of a obstacle for her. She missed out the last couple of years, and she finally managed to get that 40th Masters Nationals, which she'll be going off to this year. And she couldn't be more pleased about it. But she's always, great on the lanes. She's respectful. She'll help people. She'll talk to people. She's been, like I said, she's been a great mentor to me in this sport since I was, a kid and as an adult bowler. I still remember when I was a kid, my dad got me an autograph of Dianne Violini, and it said, "Have a great year, Michelle," and I pinned that thing up on my wall, and it didn't come down for a very long time. I told her that story a couple years ago. It made her blush.
Well, she used to be a runner too. She used to run marathons and things, and she still kept that willowy, tall figure, and I think it's done her well because she can keep playing longer because she's in good shape, good condition.
Absolutely, and to still be so competitive at this age, really,
It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
It really is amazing. You can only hope that you could be that good. She did win the zones for the South. I think she averaged over 265 for 20 games.
Yeah, she beat all the men.
She did beat all the
men
men.
in competition. She was number one, and it's just she doesn't throw the ball really hard, but she's so consistent, so steady, and her mental game is so sharp.
It really is. It really is. She did get right corner tap on her first frame, which she spared it up with no problem at all. And Kelsy had a 5-pin spare on her first.
So we're dead even after the first frame here.
Absolutely.
Both players have spares, and more great bowling to come here. We're
absolutely.
getting down to the finals of the ladies event. And we've had great bowling already, and we'll keep it on going here.
And Dianne throws a strike in her second frame. Just to give you a few numbers, we already mentioned that she's going to the Nationals for Masters for the 40th time this year. But she's been to Open Nationals 19 times. And in those 19 times, she was a single 7 times, won a gold, a silver, a bronze. With the ladies team, she's been there 10 times. She's won a gold, 3 silvers, a bronze, and a gold mixed team. just to name a few.
She could melt down her medals and be a rich woman, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And she's traveled the country coast to coast, coast to coast to coast, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And performed well in every venue at every level, for years and years. And
And
can't say enough good about her, and a humble and friendly person.
absolutely. And you'll see usually by her side is Mike, her husband, who is also her coach. And has coached her for years and years. I've had the privilege of having Mike coach me as well, and you can see why they make such a great team. You know, it is something to have somebody who knows your bowling style so well. It's such a great opportunity. Now Kelsy is, she had a head pin in her second frame, and looks like she's just got a chop off in the third frame.
Just barely grazed the head pin there and got it to fall over, but leaves the right 3-2, and that should be an easy spare, but it's really difficult sometimes.
Like we mentioned earlier.
Like you mentioned earlier, it can still be a difficult shot.
But it looks like it was no problem for Kelsy now.
she picked it up like a pro there, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. So Kelsey's been bowling for 27 years. Now it's nothing compared to Dianne's 60 years, but still, 27 is still pretty impressive. And this is her 8th time participating in the Open Provincials. Okay, and Dianne just got tapped with the left corner. Still a great opportunity for her to spare that up.
And her average of picking up corner pins must be among the best. It's so important in this game because you're not always going to get strikes no matter who you are.
Well, that's just it. And that's where spares become just as important as strikes, right? Being able to capitalize on those opportunities to get the most score that you can.
Yeah, it's a big part of the game, and you just got to accept it. Otherwise, like you said before, you could get frustrated, and once a person is frustrated, they tend to lose their edge, and
absolutely.
It can affect your game.
Absolutely, we've seen that happen many times, right? And I'm sure I can speak for myself, anyways. Looks like she just got a nice strike there. A little on the thinner side, but still.
Yeah, she hit it thin, but in this particular bowling lanes, they do keep the back end pretty clean, and sometimes those shots that are thin on the head pin will actually slide over and give you the strike. So it's a good shot in this house.
Absolutely. So let's see what Kelsy comes back with. And Kelsy comes back with a strike of her own. Looks like like I said, we're going to have another nice close game, which is exciting to watch. And it's great for the spectators. We've got a great crowd here today.
Great crowd here today. And like they say, they like to see those players throwing bombs, and strikes are called bombs. So the more bombs you get in a row, the better. And it's great to see this level of skill here.
So Kelsey's answered back with 2 strikes in a row. So that's going to put a little pressure on Dianne, but for a seasoned pro like her, it shouldn't really be too much to worry about. Dianne's usually pretty good about staying in her own game.
Well, really, that's all you can do is play your own game, and there will be breaks, positive and negative, and you got to accept that and just try to do the best every time out there and do your best to win.
And that's where Dianne's years of experience really are gonna be a positive for her, right? So Dianne did get a right corner tap, which she's now going to go in for the spare.
Interesting, you might say that she actually threw a better ball this time than last time.
Right.
Last time she got a strike, and a bit lucky because it was thin. This time she throws it in the pocket and gets a corner pin. So
yeah, and that's just the way it goes. And of course she's picked it off.
Makes the spare, so there's another key shot, right?
Absolutely.
And Dianne has appeared on bowling on TV before. She was in 1989 and 1996. She appeared on CBC Bowling, which was broadcast all across Canada, from Toronto. And then she was back, like I said, in 1996. She was back too, and I think she might have been on the TSN game once as well too. So
that's. Yeah. Looks like 2 years. TSN Pins game in 1987 and 1988.
Oh, I missed one. Well, she's had so many wonderful events. That
right.
I'll ask for your forgiveness for missing one of her victories here.
Absolutely. I should also mention that Kelsy also is part of our Masters program. And Masters, just in case you're wondering, is where all of our coaches come from as well. But they do compete on a tournament level as well as a teaching level. And Kelsy has, I think, you know what, I'm trying to think if Kelsy might have made it onto the nationals team this year. But it's escaping me right now.
I
But
got to mention one thing.
Yeah.
There is a senior division in
yes,
the Masters.
That's right.
And I've been in that for a few years.
Yes, that's right. And the seniors does pins over and scratch as well. Yes. So, there's just so many bowling programs out there right now. But in 2015, I know Kelsy looks like they got third place in nationals. So
wonderful.
That is fantastic.
And Kelsey's up here now on 3 in a row.
Oh, and very important 4th in a row. So that's really going to put the pressure on Dianne to make sure that she gets a mark, preferably a strike.
Kelsey's got that form back that she had when she threw that 418 game.
That's right.
She gets down low. She really reaches through the shot and gets the ball out on the lane. And
yeah, beautiful shot. Beautiful shot.
Great follow through.
Yeah. Oh, and Diane's got another tap. Left-hand corner pin this time. Still a great count on a spare.
So she would get 28 on that spare.
Right.
And a chance for another spare to get a good count again in the 8th frame.
But she is going to be wanting to throw some strikes together if she's planning to keep up with Kelsy. And she picks it no problem. Now, we should also mention that in this style of step ladder, with Dianne being the winner of today's tournament, Kelsy has to beat her twice. And Dianne only has to beat her one time. So even if Kelsy were to win this game, she's got to beat her a second game.
That's right. It really is a bonus for the high qualifier that they have to lose twice to not advance to the nationals in this case.
And she's got another corner pin. It's a good thing she's good at picking those corner pins.
Well, back when the original CBC bowling was on, Ernie Afghani's called her the quicker picker-upper. And that's kind of stuck because she is very sharp on her corner pins, and it's led her to victory many times, just being that good at picking her corner pins.
Now, maybe you can help me out with this one, Ray. I know once upon a time there was a thing called a counter pin.
That's correct, Michelle. Yes, there used to be, you had to, at one point, a left-hand bowler had to get down the right 2-pin, or else they'd get nothing in the frame no matter what else they got. And a right-hand bowler had to get down the left corner pin, 2-pin, or else they would get nothing in the frame. Those were called blows. So you could have a number.
Now, I believe Dianne is from that era where she
is from that era, that's right.
Which probably helps her ability to pick corner pins.
And then eventually they changed it so every player had to get the left corner pin down or not score anything. And then they did away with the
counter pin.
The blow completely, because they felt like it was actually penalizing the lower average bowlers.
Because they weren't as good at picking up that corner pin.
It was discouraging, yeah.
Wow. You probably hear all the screaming behind us, but as you can see, Kelsy just got her, what is that, sixth in a row?
6 in a row there, Michelle. Yeah, that
is impressive.
Diane's had a great game, but strikes will beat spares.
Strikes will beat spares, yeah.
It's one of those things.
She's really hopefully going to get some breaks here. And she does not. Another corner pin. Another left corner pin, it looks like.
Well, Dianne's hit the middle 9 times in a row, and she has 2 strikes to show for it. Everything else has been
corner pins.
And
a chop
one chop off. But she's just been deadly on the head pin, but not quite carrying the corners for some reason right now.
That's where we call not getting the breaks.
Not getting the breaks.
But with her skill level, she's picked up every single one of those of every one of those spares.
And like you said, that Kelsy actually would have to win 2 games to take the provincial ladies title here.
Yeah. Oh, an unfortunate head pin in the 10th frame for Dianne, but really at this point she really didn't have much of a chance of winning the game.
Yeah. But she does get that next chance, and actually this game is scrubbed in a way.
Yeah.
Because the next game starts right from 0 again.
It sure does.
It's not like a 2-game total or anything like
No.
that. Sometimes there are formats where it might be a 2-game total, but in this case it won't be. The scores will be wiped, and the last game will be the one to determine the champion.
Exactly. And you never know which way the breaks are going to go.
Oh, for sure.
Now that was a tough game for Dianne, but she still pulled out a 262, and once again showed why she is a legend in her sport.
Well, she had 262 and only 2 strikes, Michelle. So
exactly.
I mean, that's incredible, really.
That really is. And she's not one to let things like that frustrate her too much. So. And Kelsy starts the 10th frame with yet another strike, so that'll be her 7th in a row. A very impressive game from Kelsy Wilton out of Calgary, Alberta.
Kelsy used to throw the ball slower, but she has picked up her pace, picked up her speed a bit, and it seems like now she's actually carrying some shots she wasn't carrying before.
Right. It's definitely working in her favor, that's for sure.
She's having a terrific game here.
Absolutely.
333 in the 9th, so she can get...
she can end with 378.
78, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which shows why she is where she is right now. So Kelsy ends up with a 368 game, which is an amazing game.
Well, that's a wonderful game, and between the two of them, they have averaged over 300 for that game. And 300 is a great score in this game. And
sure.
These players are showing us what they're made of here today, and great job.
Whoever ends up going on to nationals to represent the singles here, that we're going to be in good hands. So
we're going to have a real strong representative no matter what.
We sure are.
Both players are class acts, and it's almost too bad that we can't have both players go. It's almost like you'd like to say, well, let's
send a doubles team or something.
Yeah, something like that, because you've got so much talent here, and but like in any other sport, there has to be a number 1 and there has to be a number 2. So that's why we play the games, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like Kelsey's going to start this game off. So will she be able to carry on with the momentum of the first game?
Well, she definitely has the momentum.
Yeah.
But this is a fickle game sometimes, and the tide can turn in a hurry. So
well, I've seen people throw 400s and then throw a 189 the next game.
Yeah, it's like
you never know.
The bowling gods will smile on you one game and frown on you the next. So,
absolutely.
We're all a little bit at the mercy of the bowling gods here.
And looks like Kelsey started off where she was finishing off last game, so she started off with a strike.
She still seems to have the good shot, and starts off the game as good as you can with a strike. And,
absolutely.
So here we go, the winner-take-all game.
This is the winner-take-all, absolutely.
Ladies Open here. The winner goes on to Gatineau, Quebec for the Nationals at the end of May.
And Dianne answers back with a strike of her own.
We're getting big cheers for both these bowlers, and they're making the game really interesting here.
Absolutely, and that's like we were talking about this community. Both have been in the community for so long. Both are very involved in the Masters on the tournament side. They have friends everywhere they go.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and she got a good break. That was a little bit of a thicker shot on that.
Yeah, a little high on the head pin, but sometimes those go too. I guess that would probably be the advantage of a faster ball.
Right.
You might tend to get those, but sometimes the faster ball, you'll get tapped too, because the say the 3-pin will go behind the 2-pin, and then you'll get a corner anyway. So.
Yeah. And of course, she's picked the corner.
I didn't count how many that's been, but
it's been a lot.
It's been a lot, because she picked everything the first game.
She sure did.
I think she must have had
what did we say?
8 corners.
I think you're right, because she had 2 that.
Yeah, and 1 chop off.
That's
2
right.
strikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's been right on the corner pins.
Oh, and Kelsey comes back with another strike. No, she is definitely not laying down at all in this game. She's Both of these ladies are working hard.
Yeah, you'd say there's many ways of terming that. You're in the zone, or you just got that feeling that it's just going to be there, and
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
wonderful feeling.
Oh, it sure is. Oh, and she got tapped with the right corner on that one. Still a great count on her first strike, 43.
She let go of the ball. I heard her say no. So I think she thought it might be a head pin, but
Yeah.
she got the corner pin, which is a much better result.
Absolutely. Easier to spare that one.
Oh, much easier to spare. So here she goes going for that spare shot.
And she picks it with no problem.
Right on her corner too.
Yeah. And like I said, when you're at that skill level, it's rare that those corner pins are going to get missed, really.
You know, I'd say, Michelle, that these ladies are bowling so well, the men just might have a hard time putting on as good a show as the women are here.
I would think so.
You know, it's not the first time in this game. The ladies can definitely show up the men.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, and unfortunately, Dianne's hit a head pin on her third frame. Very unlikely that she'll be able to spare this up. She's going to go for the cleanup, most likely. Because as we talked about, she doesn't throw a very hard ball, so isn't going to get enough action on there that would bring it across.
But she does exactly what you need to do. She takes the side, and if you get both sides, you count 15.
Yep.
If you don't take the sides, you're going to have a lower count, and then it just makes it harder later in the game. So
yeah,
that's
just today alone, we've seen 2 games that have been within 2 points. So we know that every pin counts.
Every pin counts, yeah. And Dianne did punch the right 3 pin on her third ball, so she missed out on a 15 count. She got 13 that frame.
Yeah. So
but still, she's been all over the head pin, and Kelsy Wilton has been all over the head pin, and Kelsy's got a bit of an advantage now.
Yeah. Oh, and now Dianne's got a split, which is the head pin and in this case the left 3 pin. So she's going to want to clean it up and get a 15 count on here. That is an unfortunate break for Dianne because that leaves her with 2 what we call open frames, where she didn't get a strike or a spare. And she cleans out the big side, the 5-point side, pretty easily. So now she'll be going for the corner pin. That really does open things up for Kelsy Wilton.
And sometimes you'll see that you clean up that side, and you might kick the 3 pin over, and it might take out that corner pin. It might spare that head pin split sometimes.
Yeah. And Dianne did pick that corner pin, so she took a 15 count on that frame. So let's see what Kelsy Wilton comes back. She did get tapped on the last frame, but she hopefully will come back with a strike this frame. Oh, and looks like she got tapped with the left corner.
Yeah, I noticed she kind of laid that ball down a little bit. She let it go a little bit earlier than she usually does, so it hit behind the foul line. And then when it did hit the pin, you don't get the same kind of action you would if you got the ball out on the lane a little bit. So that's probably why she left that corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think now, these ladies, Kelsey's thrown, this is her 13th game today? So you're going to start getting tired. So it gets a little bit harder to get that ball out on the lane as much as you would like to. This is where that fight comes in, where that determination really needs to set in to take over the tiredness.
Yeah, you only need to take over that tiredness for a little while.
Yes.
You can just get past that, and then you can relax, right?
Exactly.
And
And unfortunately, she got a head pin on that one. And that can also come from laying your ball down as well, or sometimes what we call aiming.
Aiming the ball instead of throwing the ball, yes, yeah. Well, that's it too. She does get down quite low, and so she's actually using those muscles a lot. So
it's more taxing physically.
More taxing physically. So then you end up getting a little more tired. And like they say in many sports, the legs are the first thing to go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh. Okay, so she ended up with a 13 count on that frame.
So she's at 134 for 5.
Yeah.
Dianne is, if Dianne gets hot and starts to throw some strikes, she can make up some
Absolutely.
pins here.
Yeah, it's definitely not over yet.
Oh no, this is only the halfway mark, and we got plenty of game left here.
Now the joke is, if Dianne looks like she's going to fall over, it's usually a strike ball. Or we call that style points.
Yeah, then somebody in the crowd holds up a 9.5, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty good style, like figure skating or something.
It's always a little bit of a joke with us. Oh, Dianne looked like she tripped. Okay, she should probably get that strike.
But you know, the breaks have a way of balancing out. You maybe something like that, you get a bit of a break, but then the next time that break will go the other way.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah. Got that one out good.
Yeah. Oh, and that was a
There
great
you
ball.
go. Yep, she threw that really well.
So great for Dianne, doubling up on those strikes there in 5 and 6. That puts her right back in the game.
It really does, because she's got a possibility now of scoring 45 points in the 5th,
Yeah.
which would bring her to 132. Or 122, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yep. So
which still is.
still, you're within 12
It's right
pins
there, yeah.
It's made a big difference.
And that just shows you how quickly this game can change.
It can change in a hurry.
Now, Kelsy missed the middle on that ball. She got a 5 count with her first ball, but this is usually a pretty standard spare. It's sometimes hard when you've come off that head pin to. You're always afraid of hitting it again.
It can get into your head a little
Yeah.
bit, and you play with a little fear. That's not good.
But she spared it up, no problem.
Came back with a nice spare there,
Yeah.
Kelsy. Yeah.
So she'll really want to put a strike onto this spare. We should mention Kelsey's coach right here with her is Harvey Potsa, who is also a very competitive bowler. So she's got a great coach in her corner. And that just goes to show you how important coaches are also in these games.
Just aside there about Harvey, is Harvey used to play in the National Hockey League.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so he comes from a very competitive background himself. And sure, he's here coaching, and he's been involved in 5-pin bowling for many years out of Calgary.
Yeah.
So another great ambassador for our game.
No, for sure. Oh, and Dianne gets the turkey. So that just brings Dianne right back into that game, like we were saying. You know, that brought Dianne within 11 points of Kelsy in the 5th frame. Kelsy was working on a spare and a strike, which is great. That's definitely a good foundation going into 8, 9, and 10.
Do you see anything Diane's done different to start throwing strikes rather than corner pins last time?
Luck.
Just luck. Yeah.
Oh, and that was an unfortunate head pin there.
I find myself cheering for everybody.
I know. You want to see everybody do really well.
Yeah, I cheer for a little more for our Southern Alberta bowlers, but I'm actually hoping everybody does well and has a good time.
Yeah, and that's the important thing. And just it's just exciting to see this competitive, this level of competition here. Like anything, you know, when you start getting head pins, oftentimes it's you're not what we call finishing off your follow through. Maybe is nicely, you're not getting enough on the ball. They'll call it.
Small difference.
I know.
Yeah,
and it usually isn't. It isn't usually huge differences.
Sometimes we call it the DHP,
Oh.
the dreaded head pin.
Yes, indeed.
DHP.
Yeah, no, Diane's not going to be very happy with that head pin in the 8th, but.
Well, it kind of stops her game in its tracks, and then she has to.
She really loses the momentum that she had with those 3 strikes. But now Kelsy, that gives Kelsy an opening. Let's see if she's going to take it. Now Kelsy got a chop off, which is still, it's spareable, which is a nice thing. But like we mentioned several times today, it sometimes can be a bit of a tough spare.
It's really hard to tell sometimes why maybe that would be a chop off rather than a strike. And I guess it's just part of the game, and you just have to accept it. But sometimes you can throw a really good ball and not get the best result.
Yeah. And Kelsy did come back and spare it.
They say it builds character, right?
Right,
Builds
exactly. That's what we tell ourselves.
So we must have a lot of character.
We
by
must
now.
have a lot of character. All right, so after 7 frames, Dianne was sitting with 183, and Kelsy had 194 and working on a spare in her 8th.
So I guess Kelsy would be back in the lead again.
Yes,
here.
she would. Now, she didn't get the strike that she was hoping for in that one, but she did leave the left corner pin, which she's now going to go and try and pick for a spare. So after 8 frames, that puts Kelsy ahead of Dianne by 24 pins, which is not unsurmountable.
No, not at all. Between the two players right now, there's been 1 miss on the head in this whole game between these two fine players.
Oh.
It's really shows you that they really are bringing their A game today.
Absolutely. And she picks it no problem. And that's kind of what you expect at this level of competition.
And that's another key shot in the 9th frame, as we said
Sure.
before there.
That's that foundation frame you were talking about earlier. It gives her something to build on in the 10th frame. So now Diane's going to really want to be getting, ideally, a strike, but at least a black mark in this 9th frame. And she gets tapped with the left corner.
And once again, that was a nice shot. She hit the middle, she hit the side, but those corner pins just don't always cooperate.
No, they sure don't. Another close game, though.
Another close game. We've been very fortunate to have close matches here.
As I said, whenever Dianne looks like she's going to fall over, you know she's got the pin she was going for. Style and grace.
Well, I've seen some players that just at the last minute, they'll be a little off balance or something, can just make a little adjustment right at the very last fraction of a second, and they actually will get what they're aiming for, even though they have a little bit of something wrong with their style.
Sure.
So that you can't coach that. You can't teach that.
No, you sure can't.
That's kind of instinctual or something.
Yeah. And she misses the middle in the 10th frame and gets a 5.
First time all game.
Yeah, first time in both games.
She
No,
didn't miss it last game either.
She sure didn't.
First time in the whole step ladders that Diana's missed.
Yeah, and that unfortunately could be a pretty big error.
It could be a big error, yeah.
But she does come back and spare it up, which is really important. Now she'll want to put a strike on that to get the maximum count for this frame. But even there, it's going to be tough for her to win this game. With a spare, with a strike, it's going to bring her up to a 248 game. And even if Kelsy were to, let's say, hit a head pin on hers, she would still have 242. So really,
it really is over now.
It really is over.
There would be a 15 count before Kelsy even throws the ball, giving her 237. So if she hits anything at all this frame,
something
she wins.
pretty catastrophic would have to happen for her not to win this game.
Looks like she's right there.
And there it is. She's just won this game. With that head pin, gives her a 5 count for a 242 in the 9th frame, which beats Diane's 238. So the rest of this is just having fun.
Just picking it up. And
cleaning up a head
cleaning
pin.
up and
Okay. And Kelsey's going to throw the final ball of this very exciting match that was really fun to watch. And there she goes. So with that, Kelsy ends up with a 253, winning her match with Dianne, and she will be representing Alberta at the Nationals in Gatineau, Quebec.
I've been watching Kelsy for a few years, and this is really the best I've seen her bowl in the singles event. She just had a little more on it today, a little more on the ball, and Dianne has been so wonderful for so long, but Kelsy did come back and take 2 games in a row.
Yeah. Both bowlers should be very proud of how they bowled today.
Oh, they've both done really well, yeah.
So we're going to take a little break here while the men set up for their final, and we'll be back with you in just a few moments.